one, plop! Hello everybody, I'm Mario and I'm the developer in this duo. For all of those on the audio podcast today, I'm wearing a hat, but that's not going to be my fun fact. The random fact about me is that recently I got addicted to Penn and Teller Fool Us show on, I watch it on YouTube, but basically Penn and Teller, the two famous magicians, they have other magicians come to the show, do their trick, and they try to bust their trick. And it's actually freaking amazing what people can do with sleight of hand, what people can do with cards, what skills, what control, what dribbles they have. It's so cool to watch. So yeah, I've kind of become addicted to that, and that's a fun fact, hopefully.
My name is Tom. I'm the designer in the duo. And the fun fact about me is that I can never come up with a fun fact about me. So I just texted a lot of my friends to send me a fun fact about me. And 3 of them replied with, I'm in a meeting at the moment, I'll ping you later. So I think this is the difference between a freelancer and people who actually have a job. But on your topic of Penn and Teller, I love that show, by the way. And one of my favorite is, I don't know if you've seen that one, was a blind magician that does close-up magic, and he managed to fool them. That was my favorite. It was just beyond amazing.
Richard Turner, he's not a magician, he's a card mechanic. And actually Google that guy, Richard Turner. Going back to our episode on procrastination and work, his motto is like, I don't hate the fact that I'm blind. I hate the people who are lazy, and I hate people who don't put in the work. Give me blindness over procrastination any day of the week. That's like his motto. And he does interviews, and he's truly amazing. So the guy's blind. He's the best card mechanic in the world. He has a black belt in karate. He does free climbing. He does everything. Google Richard Turner when you have a chance. You will be impressed by his card skills, and B, you will be impressed by his attitude on life.
It's amazing. The guy is basically Daredevil. He's a real live Daredevil. And he's just like, yeah, just describe the mountain to me and I'm going to climb it blind. Sure, fine.
Pretty much.
Anyway, today's topic, you tell us what the topic is.
Today's topic is pivotal moments in our careers and in people's careers. How to take the wrong turn at every possible step and how it gets you to where you are now.
I love that I think I maybe mentioned this the last time, but I'm going to repeat it again because it's worth repeating. My dad used to tell me that even a kick in the butt is a step forward. So I love that. It's so true. And there's been so many moments where you think you're doing something great, doing something wrong, or doing anything, and it kind of shifts your perspective entirely, and it just pushes you on a completely new trajectory. And I want to hear your first example, and let's take it from there.
Pivotal moments in my career. Do they come in like chronological order, or do we just go?
Whatever you want. I don't think we need to go chronologically. Who cares? Just like things that changed how you and what you do.
So one of the weirdest moments in my career was I used to work in a company called Lemax. Lemax builds software for travel agencies, tour operators, and they are truly amazing. I think that nowadays they're one of the top 5 softwares in the industry in the world. And if anybody's listening, shout out to all the team at Lemax. Shout out to Mate. You guys are amazing, and thank you for all the experience I gained there. But at one point, when we were there, we were still a really small company. So we had to, pull back and forth with clients. We would go, this costs that much. Yeah, can it be less? Again, living in Croatia, this is classical clients not understanding the value that software brings, and clients not understanding that actually is worth it and costs money. But we always had this sort of, push-pull. If I say it costs 100 pieces of stone, then you say, yeah, but can it be 75? Then I say, okay, and so on. So I quit Lemax. I decided to open up my own company, and the first job I got was for a UK client. And I was asked to build a Chrome extension that improved the SEO parameters of an article in a CMS. So I built that, and the deadline was, I don't know, 2 months or something. So at the end of 2 months, I have a meeting with a client. I tell them, okay, so this is what I've done. This is what we arranged. We said that these features need to work. This is how the first feature works, how the second feature works, yada, yada, yada. I do a full presentation. I was so proud of myself, and the guy was really happy with how it looks. And he said, yeah, this looks awesome. We could actually connect that to the SEMrush API to get additional values for that. And then we could, can you do it? And I was like, well, I would need to look at the documentation, of course, but providing that the documentation exists and that it's doable, yes, I can do it. But, you know, I'm not sure how to tell you this. I don't, but we agreed on a budget and I delivered this within the budget. So now this would have to be, I hate to say it, but it would have to be charged extra. And the guy was looking at me, well, of course it's going to be charged extra. And that moment was like, clash of the worlds. I was used to working with clients that expected everything they could ever think of, being the initial budget that we once spoke about. And the other guy was like, well, you're going to do work. Of course, I'm going to pay you for the work. That's how work works. And the fact that those two things had to clash one with another, I think that was the moment where I figured out, okay, so it can be different. I tell this story a lot of times, and yeah. So
Oh man, I had moments like that. One of them was so when I tell this story a lot, and one thing that was surprising to me is actually I met with a friend for drinks recently. He was in London, Željko Riha. Shout out to Željko if you're listening. I'm gonna tag him in the post. But and then he told me that he remembers this story from when he heard it from me a couple of years, like years ago, when I was telling it somewhere on some of the meetups or whatever, and that it shifted his perspective on how he thinks about stuff. And I was like somebody remembers my story from years ago, which kind of gave me the awareness that people remember stuff, and then it kind of makes an impact. And the story is of how I quit my first real job. When I say a real job, I mean within the IT industry. It wasn't my first job. I worked in as a waiter. I worked in the warehouses and all that stuff that I did before I went into IT. But my first real job is when I quit college just before I started my company. I dropped out of college and got a job in an agency. I was there for only a couple of months, and the agency was design marketing agency that does all of the promotion, like all those roll up banners and stuff like that. And my kind of reasoning was I'm getting paid at that point in US dollars around maybe $500 per month, and they want to sell their roll up banners, but they were ordering them from China, so they were making money on the actual physical products, not on the design. And I was thinking like design should be worth way more than a $50 piece of mechanics, right? And I thought that they do not value design as much. So this is one of the first things where I said like, yeah, I think I can charge more for design alone, and maybe I should start thinking about my own business, blah, blah, blah. And we were working on this project, and I wrapped up everything by 2 p.m. on Friday. And I came to the CEO's office, and she was like, we were really great, and we went to work together, and we had a really good relationship. So, and in her office was somewhere where we would usually just hang out and have lunch. It was the biggest office with the biggest table, and I came in and said like, oh, I'm like, we are done for the day. It's Friday, 2 p.m. There's nothing left to do. Like, we finished everything, and we were starting a big new project on Monday. So I kind of said like, I'm going to go home early, and I'll see you on Monday. And I kind of turned for 180 on my heels. And before I left the office, she said like no. I was like, no, what? Like, she's like, no, you can't go home. I was like, why the fuck not? I asked politely. And she said, well, you are paid to sit here and put your ass in the chair till 5 p.m. And I just stared blankly at her, like couldn't believe that she's saying this. I was like, but we're done. She's like, yeah, I don't care. Like we are paying you to be here from 9 to 5. Go in your office and find something to do for the remaining 3 hours. So I was like, okay, cool. What I'm gonna do now is, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Thank you. Went into my office, sat down, and drafted an amazing resignation letter. It was awesome. And at 5 p.m., got in her office, handed my resignation letter, said I'm going to use the remaining of my vacation days for the remainder of my period that I need to be here, and then I'm out. And I sat on my motorcycle and went home, never looked back, and started my own company. But that was like, I'm so thankful for that conversation because it made me aware, like, I'm being paid not a lot of money to sit my ass in a chair and stare at a wall. Like, I would rather not work and bang my head into a desk than do that. So, there are people who's like, oh, you're getting paid and you're doing nothing. That's amazing. I'm not one of those people. I would rather not get paid and do something that I like than not work and get paid. So I went out and I was like, done.
Both have pros and cons, but I agree with you. I would also not like to, come here, sit down, stare at a wall for 8 hours and be paid. I couldn't do that. I would shoot myself. But I assume this experience of yours was like 15, 20 years ago.
Dude, I don't know.
Okay, but plus minus
18,
15, 20
yeah,
years ago.
something like that. 18 years ago.
Yeah. So in the IT industry, things have changed a lot, and things have changed a lot because the leverage shifted. So before, workers needed companies to work at. Now companies are desperate for workers, and if you know what you're doing, the company will appreciate you in many different ways. And if you know what you're doing in IT development and you're working in a company that doesn't appreciate you, please DM me.
Mario is hiring.
I'm always looking for people who know what they're doing and feel unappreciated. So,
No, that's true, and I'm happy that it changed. But this was one of the main triggers that pushed me into the direction of actually being a strong advocate for remote work, for freelancing, for doing your shit on your own terms in your own time. Because since I was a kid, since I started going to school, I hated doing stuff that other people told me that I have to do. I was just not built that way. So I'm not a very obedient person in general. I have a strong problem with authorities. If somebody told me you have to go there and then they will give you $1 million, I'd be like, I don't have to do shit. Like, fuck you. Like you don't tell me what I need to do, right? If you can go, please. If you ask me politely, I'll do whatever you want. Like, if you ask me politely, and especially if I'm helping you, no problem. But we need reason, of course. But if somebody told me you have to, my initial internal trigger is like, I don't have to do shit. Like, and I'll show you I don't.
you have to go there and you'll get $1 million.
No.
I don't have to go there, but I want to go there and get $1 million.
No.
On my own terms.
I wouldn't be like that. I would be just like, no, fuck you. But yeah, ever since I was a kid, I had this strong aversion towards a bullshit authority. I have no problems with if I ask you something and then you tell me we need to do this. I ask you why, and then you elaborate. Amazing, great, let's do it. But if I ask you something and you tell me because I say so, then it's no. Just like listening to someone just because they are a teacher. Like, no.
I think in one of the episodes I told you that we were, as I have 3 small kids, the eldest one is like, why? And then at one point I was like, because I say so. And then she started doing that. Well, Tonka, please do this. Why? Because I say so. And then she's like, that's not the answer. You told me that when I say that, that's not an answer. So now when you say it, it's also not an answer. Smart kid.
It's smart kid. And it's like, I'm not a parent, you know that, but I think it's the worst way to parent is because I say so. Like, respect my authority because I'm bigger, older, and stronger than you. That's just the worst way.
Authority.
Yeah, that's not. That's
Respect my authority.
Yeah. But when you said a clashing of two worlds, when the client said, of course I'm going to pay you for the things that you're going to work on, I realized one of the things is when I realized that my prices were too low. When I built a website for a client and he gave me a tip. So that,
You mentioned this in one of the shows.
that was like, oh, that was a pivotal moment. Like, I need to raise my prices. When a guy leaves you a cash tip, like, it was like I felt like a prostitute. It was like, oh, you did a good job. Here's 100. Here's 100 extra.
At one company I worked, I freelanced for. I was in a meeting where I had to do a demo of a product, and we did it. And then the guy who ordered it came and started. Of course, the haggling started. Well, how much does it cost? Well, it costs 100. Oh, I can give you 50. Oh, but can you give me 98? Oh, no, I can give you 53, and so on and so on and so on. And in the end, they agree on a price. And the guy puts his hand in his pocket, takes out a rolled up amount of bills with a little rubber band around it, pulls out. This is for you guys. Thank you. Bye. Until that moment, I was living in an illusion at that time, kind of in IT, fourth industrial revolution, quarterly industries, all nice, highly technical. And then you figure out that it's just like on a fruit market where these aren't as fresh. Yeah, they aren't. So I'm going to give you 3 kilos for the price of 2 and so on.
Yeah,
That was a little bit of a letdown.
a bit of a defeating feeling. But yeah, so
You know that show of How I Met Your Mother when you realize a fact and then it breaks
the glass
the glass
breaking.
illusion, and then you actually hear the sound. Well, that was it. That was one of those moments for me.
I just edited that in. I just communicated this telepathically
nice.
to future me to edit this in. It's going to be amazing. One more. Great. Future me is amazing at editing.
The future is amazing in general. So we're probably gonna have a few of these. Moments throughout the course of today's show. So yeah.
So what else was in terms of not working with clients, but in terms of working within the technology? Like what changed you? Like you mentioned last time, we talked about how technology changed. But what was like the deciding moment? Like I want to actually work with. If I believe you're in Microsoft Technologies, not in right.
Who I am, but the one that I want to mention now is. At that time, I was still owning a Siemens C35 cell phone.
Okay.
So, just to put you in context, we're talking around 2003, 4, maybe 5, I think 4. Somewhere around that time. And I got a job as a student. A friend of mine had access to Siemens XT75 portable modules that had GPRS modem on them and had GPS locators on them, and could run Java 2 Mobile Edition. So he was like, hey, can you just build me a prototype that gathers GPS data and sends it over the modem? We still had to have a phone card, to send it via there was a new thing, SIM on internet over SIM cards and things like that. So I said, yeah, I can give it a go. Give me the device, give me the docs and everything. So then I first got a device, then I got like 75 PDFs because Java documentation and because Siemens documentation. And then I started reading through those, and he was, like, after first week, do you have progress? I said, yeah, I read 70 pages of documentation. I know something, but no. In the end, it turned out that a lot of it had to do with AT commands, and I don't know if you've ever written AT commands or if you know exactly what AT commands are. AT commands are a really, 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 really low-level way of communicating with devices, primarily the modem. And they have syntax, like AT, that little up arrow symbol, 250, and it's a horrible syntax that you have to learn from the documentation and master. So in the end, I did it, and I actually do it, and I actually get the coordinates, and I'm so happy because I actually built something that works on an actual device built by a famous company that I've heard of, that connects to the internet with an official provider that provides phones for everybody in Croatia. I was like, I'm so cool. I can do stuff. And I got paid for that gig. I think that was one of the first, maybe even the first thing I was actually paid for doing.
Oh, that's
In IT.
a good project. That's a good first project to be paid for. I don't remember what was the first thing I was paid for, like officially. When we say paid for, do we count when I issued an invoice or when I got cash in hand?
No. I think I did this over a student contract or something.
But was it like official? Because first couple of projects I did were within the gray area of the economy. I was like, yeah, I can do that. You pay me in cash, and then I could do.
Now the Ministry of Finance is gonna go after you.
Well, they tried.
You should not say these things
I
loud.
have no problems with it.
No,
No. The Ministry of Finance in Croatia went after me, and we went to court, and they lost. So I'm good. I don't think you can be prosecuted for the same crime twice, but since they lost, it wasn't a crime. So, but it's a story for another thing. But actually, that was a pivotal moment. This is a great example of how I refused to pay some taxes because they acted like assholes. When I say they, I mean the government. So when I started my first company, there was this like a government scheme where you can apply for like some funding, like a startup funding thing in range of around like $3,000, something like that. And then they would provide like 75% of funds, and then you need to provide additional 25%. You need to prove that you have that money, and then this is the money that then you can then spend on starting up your business. So I applied for the grant, I got it, had the money saved up, and my friend and we started this thing together. So we spent the money on the computer equipment, test tables, and all of the things. But they said that this money is like inclusive of VAT and all of the thing. So we give you money, but you basically give us 25% back in VAT. And I was like, no. Like, you gave me the money to spend. This is not for me to return you the money through VAT. This is my money to spend, and I put my money in. And I will not give you the VAT bit. So they were like, yeah, you are. I was like, no, I'm not. They're like, we're going to sue you. I was like, yeah, please go ahead. And then we went to court battle for 6 years, and then they lost.
6 years.
6 years.
6 years.
6 years of court battle to win against a corrupted country where I proved that I don't want to pay them around like $500 in VAT. And then I won. And I was like, yeah. But I battled T-Mobile as well. They lost too. Who else? Well, a lot of people in Croatia just lost because they're just losers. This is why I'm not there anymore. But anyway, off topic.
We're losers.
Yeah, losers in everything but football. But yeah.
Actually, we are winners in everything but football. And if anybody's looking at my profile on Facebook, you will notice that I frequently post about everything but football. So Croatia has, I don't know, recently a girl from Croatia is the youngest girl that swam across the 7 biggest channels in the world with 7 marathons. She won the world record of being the youngest. What was the headline in the sports columns that week? Hajduk lost to Dinamo 0-4. Before that, we had a new champion in judo. What was the headline? The headline was that football club from Šibenik has a great young talented right back. Then we had, I don't know, after coming back from an injury, a Croatian tennis star female wins a tournament. What was the headline? The headline was that Zoran Mamić, who is a convicted felon, is not allowed back into the country, has a new girlfriend in a different country. That is the headline in Croatian newspaper. So if anybody is reading Croatian newspaper, go kill yourself.
Yeah.
Except if you are Igor Ostrij. I hope that Igor Ostrij is listening to this. I gave him links. Basically, my friend Igor Ostrij, he loved to do this to himself during the period of Lent. Is it called Lent? The Christian thing where you have to denounce yourself of something that's important to you to prove your
Lent.
devotion to God. Lent. Sorry, Lent.
Lint is
So
the thing.
during Lent-
Lint is the thing you have in your belly button.
Lent is chocolate.
No, lint is what you have
Lint is
in your
chocolate,
belly
yeah.
button is lint. Right?
Okay. So Anyway, Lent. So during Lent, he decided that the two of his most precious things that he owns are his sanity and his health, and that's why during Lent he gives those up. So he starts smoking 2 packs a day, and he starts reading Croatian newspaper. Shout out to Igor Ostrich. Lent is almost over. I hope that you'll stick through this time.
Oh man, that's the why would someone do that to themselves? I don't know.
I assume you mean the newspaper, not the smoking.
Both. Like, why would? Like, why? Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Anyway, coming back to our topic, actual topic is the one of the pivotal moments in my career was reaching out to international market and deciding, you know what, I don't want to work with local clients anymore, and how can I find this? So that was early 2013, so right around 10 years ago now, when I joined TopTal, and I was invited by Tomislav Capan, who was a friend with Roman, for a drinks in a pub in Zagreb. And he was like, "You have to meet this guy. He's a recruiter for this Silicon Valley company that is hiring freelancers, but they are developers only, and all the developers in the world, they need a designer, right? And they don't have any designers." So I had a conversation with Roman, and I onboarded to TopTal as a front end developer, because back then I was still doing front end, but that was only to onboard and pass the test and all the things. But I was actually hired to all of the projects as a designer who can also code. And I even wrote a blog post back then, wearing two hats: designers, developers, designers who code, or whatever. And this is how I started working with people from basically everywhere. I had clients from East Coast, West Coast, UK, even had a guy from China, from everywhere, and started to understand how people think, and in how toxic environment actually was running a business then for a couple of years already, and that it can be so much better. So this was, if I can take away something that would be an advice to people, is look beyond just where you are. And I'm sure if you have a service or a skill that you can offer, you can literally work within the entire planet Earth. So just go do that. And some people are like, how do I do that? Well, that's maybe a next topic, how to branch out onto international market. We can talk about that in the next episode. But this was a pivotal moment for me, because it wasn't about money. It was never about money with me. The money was better, but I enjoyed working more because people were actually valuing the thing that I was doing. And like you said, the first guy was like, of course I'm going to pay you for the work that you provided. That was like, oh my God, these people actually not only pay me for the work that I provide, actually enjoy working with me, and they like the things that I do. So this must feel amazing. And then never looked back. I think in last client from Croatia was 7 or 8 years ago, and that was like done.
But going back to how you can actually do that and how you can actually branch off to a different market, it could be a topic on its own. But the one thing that certainly doesn't help is sitting on your couch and thinking, oh my God, how would I do that? That's definitely not step one. So step one is get on your couch and try to do something. And then we can talk about steps 2, 3, 4.
If only there was something like
yeah,
like a little, like, let's call it like a text box where you can enter your question and then hit enter and it gives you answers. That would be amazing. Something like, we can call it like Google, or
yeah, Google would be a really good name for that.
right? Like you
Go check if google.com is taken. Maybe it's free.
So let me go see. I'll do it right away. So I go on. I have this instant domain search.com that I use. What do you say, Google?
Do you have like,
Google.
yeah, on main.com?
Google.
How much is the price for google.com?
Google.
Like a gazillion.
Google.com. Well, it's actually, yeah, it's taken. I can contact a broker to see if it's available. But
Yeah.
Google.exposed and Google.gallery are available. So maybe we can do something with that. Google show.
Anyway, going back, so around the same time you joined TopTal, I joined TopTal as well. But for me, it was actually fun because I joined as a developer and I worked on a couple of projects as a freelancer developer, and that was great. And then at one point they told me, "Hey, listen, we got some feedback from the client. You look like you understand the high level, you understand their business, you look like you are a good fit. Would you like to come and work for us?" And I was like, "Okay. So you're like a big Silicon Valley US company that wants to hire me, yeah. Okay, why the hell not? Let's try it." So I joined, and I was like, in the beginning, I was kind of scared how it's gonna work and all of that. And thanks to Alvaro, who brought me in and who taught me pretty much everything I know about that job. Alvaro, you're amazing. Um, at one point, I became, good. And I am. I don't. I know that I'm good. I understand that I'm good. I understand that I know development. I know the industry. I know everything. But I was worried how I'm gonna fit in a U.S. company with all of the culture and everything. But pretty soon, people came to me like to the point of authority, like, "Mario, you tell us what to do with this project because you are the best person for it." And they could have hired anyone on planet Earth. So it's not like they could have. We are in my home city, and then they could have hired anybody from my home city. They could have hired anyone from planet Earth. There are amazing people in Argentina. There are amazing people in Italy. There are amazing. They could have hired any one of those. They hired me, and then I became a person that they would actually ask, "Okay, how would you solve this? Tell us so we can build a process around it." And it was always a team effort, so I'm not going to say I was God in that company. I was not. There was a team process, and we ended up expanding team with amazing people, with Ana Chiara, with Martin, there was a ton of really great people doing what I did, and it was a lot of fun to work with top experts from around the globe. But yeah, being felt like you're a point of authority that people ask your opinions on how to solve complex technical problems was like really tickling my ego, how to say
How
that.
did that
I was really happy about
how
it.
did that change your attitude then going forward, like towards your own company and building a startup? And
So, building a startup is going to be another couple of pivotal moments. I'm going to go back to that
but
one.
did it give you like a
But
confidence boost?
yeah, so I was lucky that during my course in TopTal, I got to spend a lot of time talking to developers, but also talking to clients. And then, after talking to a lot of clients over the course of the years, you figure out that they're actually normal people who have a mission, they have a project, they're set out to do their project, and you can work with them and you can help them with what you do. You can actually bring a lot of value to them with what you know and what you do, and they appreciate it. And it's really nice when both sides are aware of who brings what to whom, and both sides are appreciative of the mutual cooperation. That's a really then it's a great client vendor relationship, and that's the one that you need to keep and build on.
Yeah. And now going to the startup.
So I wanted to build. So this is even before. Currently, I work in a startup called Picketer, but even before that, I wanted to build something of my own, and I had two major projects that I wanted to build, and that failed colossally. Let's start. The first one was the ski book.
You talked about ski book.
Whenever I love skiing,
You talked about ski book.
yeah, I talked about ski book. I talked about ski book about how we did design, but I don't know if I told you this part of the story. So if I did, fast forward. If not, don't. But basically, my friends and I, we love going skiing, and then you have to organize it. So where are we going? Who's going to book the accommodation? Who's going to bring what? When are we going? Who's driving? 20,000 WhatsApp messages. So I was like, let's build a platform that will automatically give you a list of all of the ski resorts, their distance, driving directions, weather forecast for the place, accommodation over there. You can book it. We get affiliate. You have a chat. You have a checklist pre-made what you need to bring, and you just have to say yes or no when you're invited to a trip. Yeah, and we built it. We took the course that, as I'm a developer and my friend was a developer, we did it together. We built it, and it worked, and nobody used it. So that was a really glass-shattering moment, because that taught me people don't necessarily have your problem. People have a problem, and if you think that they have your problem, then first go talk to them before you spend actual freaking 6 months building it and then learning nobody's gonna use it. So that was a glass shattering moment when I figured, okay, not everybody has the same problem like me, or even if they do, not everybody wants to solve it the same way I do. So whenever you have an idea to do something, think about A, what problem does it solve? B, who does it solve it for? C, how does it solve it? And then find as many people as you can like that and talk to them. Listen, this is what I was planning to do. Would you like it? Maybe even give them some sketches or a clickable prototype or something like that. Don't spend 6 months of development to build something that nobody's gonna use. And I know that me saying this now is not gonna stop you from spending 6 months developing something that nobody's gonna use, but just after you have that moment and figure out that nobody's using your product after you spend 6 months building it, remember these words and remember that I told you so.
Uh,
I'm so smart.
I told you so. I'm gonna clip this. We're gonna share this. But yeah, let's build it and they will come.
So that was really glass shattering when I had something that worked, that had a huge database of screw resorts, everything was good, populated with data, ready to be used. Looked okay, looked pretty enough. Everything was good, except the problem I thought everybody had, because who's going to use your product? Everybody is.
Of course.
Yeah.
So why didn't it work? Like why didn't like how did you go into promoting and selling this product? Like, how did you define that people actually don't want to use it?
Okay, so that's another glass shattering moment. I also talked about this in earlier episodes. Developers think that they're a God-given gift to Earth because we can build stuff. And we don't understand that building the actual product is between 10 and maybe 25% of actually building an actual business. So after the product, there has to be marketing, there has to be sales, there has to be business planning, there has to be finances, there has to be customer support, there has to be community management, there has to be so many things, and the product is just one part of it. Being a technical person, you think about, hey, I'm going to build a product. Like, that's it. It's going to be a product. It's going to be usable. You can click it. It works. It does what it has to do. It solves your problem. Yeah, doing that, you've solved only 25% of building a business. You actually have to build a business around it.
And you didn't.
And realizing that was also a glass shattering moment. Like,
Yeah. One of the things that changed my way of thinking towards business was actually reading business books. That was the thing that changed with every book. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about that. And the thing is that when I went into starting a business, my ego was all the way over there, and my knowledge and skills was all. So it was a typical Dunning-Kruger effect. And if you haven't heard of this, here's a little graphic that I'm going to put here about what it is. And I was riding the peak of Mount Stupid. I was all the way over there, like this guy, like on a big rocket powered ego boost. Like, I'm gonna conquer the business world. I know everything. And then one of my friends, Philip, he's a pricing consultant now, but back then he was doing a lot of marketing and sales, and he's overall like an amazing business person. And when we started out with our web design studio, he told me some of the things that felt so misaligned with what I believed to be how business works, right? And one of the things that I'm going to remember for my entire life was if you're, for example, selling uh, a some sort of street food. In Croatia would be burek or borek in Turkey. So if you're selling street food, you're if you're designing a pamphlet for it, you're not going to use 350-gram hard glossy paper with an amazing golden letters that you're then going to sell a $1 product, right? So there needs, and I thought like everything that you're selling needs to have an amazing design. That was for me, like I'm a designer, everything needs to have an amazing design. You're going to design all of the amazing stuff for everything. Then this is how we're going to solve the world problems. Everything's going to be designed amazingly. You're welcome, planet Earth. And then I realized, like, okay, this is not how it works. So you need to properly design things for the proper product that goes into, that has a proper market fit and da 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 da. So then he gave me a couple of books, and then I read them, and I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. So then it changed how I approach solving business problems. So back then, just same as you, I thought if I come to a business and tell them, hey, I'm going to build you a website, and then all of your business problems are going to be solved. How come you don't want a website, or why do you do not understand that you need a website, especially my amazingly designed websites? And then so there was a one woman told me once that she doesn't need a website because everything she does for her business she just runs out of Microsoft Office, and it's good enough for her. And I was like, how do you do not understand that the website will? And then I realized that I was just selling the wrong thing. That it wasn't the website that she needs. She needs more customers. That's what business wants. Business wants more customers, more sales. They don't care if it's a website or a truckload of flyers. It's like, I want more customers. Okay, I can provide you more customers. How? Leave that to me. It's going to be a website. But that was one of the things. Like, oh, cool. I had no idea. And then the other one was when we started out, we were doing this direct phone sales, which was basically take out the yellow pages, go through all the local businesses, call them up and say like, hey, this is so-and-so doing this work, and we want to sell you a website. And he said, you need to do this a lot. And I thought, well, 2 a day, that's a lot, right? I called 2 prospective companies today. They said no, but man, I did sales today. And then I'm very uncomfortable on the phone. Not very, I can talk for hours with you on stage, doesn't matter, but on the phone, telling people about like, oh, like I sold the thing. It's like, I don't do that. And we hired a friend of ours who's amazing on the phone sales. He just loves that thing. Like he knows about that person, what they drink, what they eat, what's their kids' names. Like he learns everything. He's a really good sales and people person. So we got him on the phone. He called like 100 people a day. He was just like banging it out and following advice of you have to call a lot of people to sell your stuff. And then we build a script of you ask a question. If they see this, then do a little flow chart of how we go through everything. He just took that flow chart, took the phone, took the yellow pages, and he was just banging it out. And then we got like 1 client per week on average, which was not bad back then. So, yeah.
No, but sales is a lot about volume, and sales is a lot about CRM. So my uncle, he now does he has a small theater for children, does children's, puppet shows. And I saw his CRM. He's elderly now, he's in his mid-60s, and his CRM is a big Excel table where he has a list of all of their contacts. And then you have, last contacted, and you have the last column is miscellaneous. So you look at it like, what is miscellaneous? And you look at the data in that column, and next to a lady, there's, a code word dog. I said, Uncle, what's this? And he's like, watch. Hello, Mrs. This and this. This is Mr. Mutzal. Yeah, hey, how are you doing? How's the puppy? Oh, that's great. Oh, that's really brilliant. Oh, I'm really glad. The lady bought whatever. After, how's the puppy? So he calls her like once in 3 months to remind her that he's doing that, and he did it. After 3 months, when she heard that he remembers her precious little puppy, she was sold.
Yeah.
So code word puppy.
People skills. Code word people skills.
People skill.
Yeah.
Code word people
How
skills.
can we?
Code word CRM. Write that shit down because you cannot remember it. Code word CRM.
Yeah, there's an app called Clay, which is looks it has a pretty fresh, cool design. So I kind of like it from a design perspective. But I had an idea of building like a personal CRM for when we have a conversation, let's say once a month, and then we talked about stuff and da da da. And then my idea was like to give me a reminder, hey, reconnect with Mario, and to kind of have like just bullet points like what we talked about last time, so we don't repeat ourselves. We can continue the conversation. So I was thinking I'd build like a personal thing when I call my friends, and so we can pick up where we left off and so on. And then I designed the app, got the whole thing, got the idea down on paper, showed it to my developer. He was like, yeah, we can build this. This is fairly simple to build. And then this thing came out and it's so much better because they put a lot of thought into it, and it has some like minor AI behind it, and connects your calendar to your context, pulls all of your emails, like everything. So you kind of have everything in, but for a personal use, it's very, very cool. So yeah,
Can I just
can.
break your spirit for a little bit? That's a CRM for friends. So that's like a
Yeah.
friendship relationship
Yeah,
manager.
exactly.
I understand. I see the practical value of it. On the other hand, a lot of people listening, this is assuming we have a lot of people listening, and if we do have a lot of people listening at this point, please hit the subscribe, bell, like, all of the buttons. But anyway, a lot of people listening might think that if you need a machine to maintain your friendships, then the quality of those friendships might be iffy. But again, this is another philosophical topic that we won't open now, that we can open
No,
over the
absolutely.
course of 5 years. Or something
Absolutely.
like that.
This is not for close friends, but the people that you hear on like daily basis or a weekly basis. But I have friends that I've spent a lot of time with that have basically moved all over the planet, and that just doesn't make sense to be in touch every week because nothing happens on a weekly basis, right? I eat, I sleep, I do my work, and like nothing changes. So it's great to when you reconnect like 6 months later. I have a friend that we speak like 2 times a year, and every time we speak, it's like we pick up where we left off, and we have a great connection. And when we meet up in the same town, it's great. But for 6 months, there's no reason to kind of speak in between. And then we can speak for 3 hours, and it's great. And like last time, like we were in the same industry a year ago, so I made a little note of that. Like, oh, he just got hired in a startup that was doing the same thing I was doing. So next time we speak, I just made a little reminder, like I want to check in how that feels because I might forget shit like that, and just stuff like that. It's not like I remember to ask him what his daughter name is. I know that, but but these like minor things, like oh, I'm gonna play this show that I recommended, and I want to like just ask him like how did he find the show and stuff like that, because I talk about the shows that I like to everybody, so I can't remember who said like yeah, I'm gonna watch it. So like, it's minor things like that.
So to sum this up, what's going to be the next pivotal change in your career?
Oh, the next pivotal change in career. Okay, you're setting me up. So I know what you're doing, Mario. Next pivotal moment in my career is gonna be, I think I'm moving away from design in terms of actually designing UI, in terms of UI design. I've been designing stuff for over 20 years now, and I think I'm done. I'm done in terms of building UI, building forms and buttons and drop down menus and all that stuff that is cool. But in terms of that, I promised myself last year on the last project this is the last UI you're ever gonna design, and I wrote that in my diary. And now I want to move towards working with people and coaching freelancers and coaching people to build their career to a stage where they are happy on their day-to-day basis, happy with the clients, happy with how much money they're making, and have enough work-life integration so they can enjoy their daily lives, and work is a part of that, and it's just like a positive experience. And this is what I want to gear towards too. So now I'm just yesterday I launched my workshop. That's going to start on 3rd of April. So whoever's listening, it's going to be a week from the episode is published, and we'll see how that goes. But I can still do. I want to do design in terms of product consulting. I think I have a lot of experience, and I want to help with startups. How do they position themselves, and what is the priorities they do on a product and stuff like that, and help with hiring, help with building a team. But I don't want to do design anymore in terms of building a UI. So that's going to be the next pivotal thing. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes. Ask me in a month, but I wanna get there.
I'll ask you in a minute.
Ask me in a month. Maybe I should do a shameless plug. The website is sixfigure.camp. So it's sixfigure camp. Check it out. Let me know what you think, and sign up. And if it's sold out, just hop on a waiting list by then, and let me know that you found it in an episode, and I'll give you a generous discount. It's kind of I don't. Well, we'll see. We'll see if anybody actually replies.
Who would refuse an offer from such a well brought up young person?
Yeah, I'm thinking I should put a warning.
I assume you hold the elevator lift doors for the elderly.
Yeah, I need to put a warning on, like, whoever joins my my workshop. I do swear a lot. I'm really trying on this podcast not to do a lot of shits and fucks, but when the cameras are not rolling, oh man, my mouth are just full of shits and dicks.
So, but it's the more difficult. It's more easy to sustain from swearing in English.
Yes,
Because English swear words suck.
that's true.
I think that if you were speaking more in your native language, you would have much more creative combinations that would trigger it more. So in English, it's much easier.
That's true. That's true. English is so bad for swearing. It kind of borders on. It just warrants writing a book and rewriting. How do we swear in English? Because we need to teach those people how to properly curse.
Bollocks.
Anyway, you want to wrap it out of here with a bad joke?
Do I want to wrap it out of here with a bad joke? I actually don't have one.
Oh, really? You don't have a bad joke? I thought you prepared one.
A guy comes to a train station and says, "I need a return ticket." To where? To here.
I had a joke before we started, and I now can't remember what it was. What was it? Anyway.
About the guy drinking.
Oh yeah, that was. I probably need to recut this bit a little bit, but so I can't drink a lot. I can have one drink, and then I'm another person. But that other guy, man, he can drink. That was a true story once. I don't drink anymore. I gave up alcohol.
I would laugh, but I heard this one like 50 minutes ago, so yeah.
Good. Anyway,
I'll give a sympathy smile.
we didn't say this during the episode, but if you got to here, like, subscribe, do the thing, hit the button, hit the thumbs up or thumbs down. Either works if you think we suck. I also like hearing that we suck. Whatever you do, YouTube logs engagement, so that's good. And yes.
And can I just point out, so I have been wearing the hat for the whole show for all of you watching on YouTube and wondering what the fuck this guy's doing. I've been doing it so that in the end I can do this.
Thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye.